Okay. Seems like everyone's here already. There were two comments made in the private chat for the retreat that are worth repeating. So one experience someone had is that they confirmed that yes, while they were staring at their wall, I guess they have a painting on their wall, and because I'm assuming they weren't looking directly at the painting started moving and doing things. And so our mind, which, by the way, is the thing creating our visual experience of the world, will start to fill things in and create patterns and do all this interesting stuff. In particular, if you look at one point of something complicated, your mind is filling in most of that with what it expects to be there or thinks might be there, or it's not filling that in with stuff it actually knows. It's filling it in with things that it thinks are likely to be correct. And if you stare at one point for a long time, all of the information your mind is filling in that it's actually not quite sure about, it starts to fatigue, and also the in your eyes there are little rods and cones, and I think those also start to fatigue, and so you get all these visual effects, which again are not spiritually important, really. Sometimes I like to point out to people that most of your visual field is constructed and not seen. I believe in the middle of your left eye, if I'm not mistaken, there's a big hole, and your mind just fills it in, even though physically you can't see anything in that hole. And there are ways to prove that to yourself. And most of your peripheral vision, your mind just fills in with stuff. For example, if you bring an object into a room where you don't know what the color is, your peripheral vision actually is not in color. And so if you have objects to your, like I have a whole bookshelf over here, if I try to identify the colors and then I actually look, I see that I was wrong about most of the colors of the books. And this is because your peripheral vision, despite appearing in color, isn't actually in color because you don't have rods and you don't have the right, whatever it is, rods or cones in your eye in the peripheral part of your vision to detect color. Nonetheless, your mind fills colors in because it would be weird to only have color vision in the middle and no colors in your peripheral. Okay, so your mind will do all these weird things with your vision when you point the eyes in one direction and don't move it. But most of that is not important beyond proving to you that your mind is making up most of your visual experience. Not that important. So once again, using the tactile meditations as an example, previously, if, for example, we were doing full body meditation and your mind zoomed in on one area of pain and was just focused there, you've lost the full body meditation, right? You're no longer doing full body meditation because the mind has zoomed in on one place. Similarly, if you're doing full vision meditation, we could say, or the full visual field meditation, if your mind starts doing these weird things where it makes patterns swirl, or you see bright gold or white lights or these sorts of things appearing in whatever, and your mind zooms in on those experiences and grabs on and goes, ooh, then you have lost full vision meditation. And now you're just focused on one aspect of something that's occurring within the visual field. So in the same way that you had to gain some experience of pulling your mind back and letting it rest in the tactile field like a mirror, and becoming not indifferent to what happens there because you're extremely engaged, but to not allow your mind to be pulled in, sucked in, and not allow it to pool in one area, you have to learn how to do the same thing with the visual field. So that was one comment. The other comment, which was quite good, and it anticipates what's coming, was someone said when they were opening up the right-hand visual field, the right-hand peripheral field, that they noticed the right-hand side tactile field opened at the same time. So they became aware of the right-hand tactile field and the right-hand visual field. And I said, look, I'm not going to slap you on the wrist because we're headed that way. We're headed in the direction of eventually we're going to open all 6 fields at the same time. However, you have to be very, very specific about what it is you're training at any given moment. The bigger project is getting our mind under control. So if you didn't intend to open the tactile field and half your awareness pooled in the right-hand side of your body and the other half pooled in the right-hand side of your vision, then you lost control of your mind. You followed a habit from previous training. The previous training was, I'm going to pool my attention in the right-hand side over here of my tactile field. And you just followed that habit of mind from before, instead of doing what you intended to do right now, which was to pool 100% of your mental energy into just the right-hand side visual field only. So I don't want to say, oh, you're screwing it all up, or but you do want to be quite strict with yourself. What am I doing right now? What specific exercise am I engaged in? If you intended to take a step with your right foot and instead you moved your arm like this, you'd go see a doctor, right? So the big problem we have is we can't control our mind. We don't know where our mind is going, and we can't get our mind to do what we want it to do. So don't let your training turn into a more sophisticated spiritual version of you not being able to control what your mind does. Okay? So each part of the training, we're doing something very specific. Do that part. And then when we get to the part where we're doing more things, more complicated things, adding pieces together, do that part. But the bigger project is being aware of what your mind is, how it functions, how it creates reality, how those creations become real to you, and how those creations interact with and interfere with your experience. Right. Okay, I don't want to take up too much time talking because I want today to be more about practice. But these 2 points that we just covered are extremely important. Just to briefly review, because I want them to stick in your mind for the rest of your life. When you're looking at the visual field, even if blue Buddhas appear in the field and start splashing nectar onto your body, the only task is to simply be aware of the entire visual field without the mind zooming in on whatever has occurred. It doesn't matter if Jesus appears and starts teaching you about loving kindness, okay? Doesn't matter what appears. It doesn't matter if the devil appears and says, this is all stupid, what are you doing, right? No matter how horrible, wonderful, interesting, uninteresting, whatever appears in the visual field, the only job is to take in the whole visual field. Okay, that's point number 1 from a comment during the break. Point number 2 is, someone said, when I open the right hand peripheral vision, I noticed that the tactile sensation on the right hand side also opened. What that means in reality is that you've spread your you aimed all your attention at vision, but then it divided by itself, and half your attention went to tactile sensations over here, and the other half went to the right-hand side of peripheral vision. So you divided your attention without doing that on purpose, which means your mind was out of control. And it was out of control in particular because you have practiced opening this, and you like doing this, and you want to have the experience of the tactile body, et cetera, et cetera. So this is actually, remember when we were talking about excitement and we said you can have excitement related to virtue? Well, we've been doing something pretty virtuous, which is training the mind to merely be aware of the body, and it's wonderful, it makes you feel nice. And now when we've set the mind on another task, the mind is distracting towards virtue, right? So the mind's excited by opening the tactile body more than doing the task at hand. Okay? So, very, very good examples, and they should be locked in your mind. Try to lock those in your mind. All right, let's return to the instructions for opening the visual field. I'm just going to talk us through it. Again, we'll start with body scan and full body meditation just to get the mind very, very calm and stable and lucid, and to make the body feel comfortable so that we can focus more on vision. Okay? Find a good posture. Put your mind in the right foot, right ankle, calf, knee, thigh, hip, left foot, ankle, calf, knee, thigh, hip. Put your mind in the front of the pelvis, back of the pelvis, tailbone. Squeeze the mind into the tailbone for a moment. And then relax the mind and find the anus, perineum, sexual organs. Move the mind up to the complete waist belt, diaphragm belt, chest belt, left shoulder, left bicep, elbow, forearm, wrist, palm and back of hand. And do your fingers on your own. Right shoulder, bicep, elbow, forearm, wrist, palm and back of hand. Do your fingers on your own. First third of your neck, second third, upper third. Focus on the joint between the skull and the neck. Now just let your awareness fill the skull, everything except for the top part of the scalp. Now find the top of the scalp. Focus on the most sensitive point. Stretch the awareness from there without losing the awareness of that point to the fingertips and the nail beds of both hands. Without losing that, stretch the awareness again from the crown down to the toe tips and the toenails of both feet. Become aware of everything to the front, to the back, to the left, to the right, above, and below. Let the mind be like a mirror that is not doing anything in particular. It is simply aware of the full tactile sphere. Now open the eyes if they're not already open. Starting with the right eye. Bring your gaze without looking at anything in particular in the center of the vision, but do keep your eye pointed at the same point roughly. You're gazing without looking at anything. Keep the awareness in the gaze, but stretch it to the right. Bring the entirety of your being, every ounce of your awareness, to seeing everything in the right peripheral field, and then stretch that awareness back to the center and stretch it over to the left. Let go of the right peripheral field. We're still on the right eye, but stretch it as far to the left as you can. And simply be aware of what you see there. Don't analyze. Don't imagine. Don't mentally comment. Stretch your awareness up, keeping the eye pointed forward. Let your awareness swim through the visual field up to the highest possible point, and observe everything in the uppermost visual field. Now let your awareness swim down and observe everything in the lowermost visual field. Relatively speaking, if your concentration is increasing, it should seem like the only thing that exists is the visual field in the right eye. That most of the visual field in the right eye has grayed or dimmed, except for the very bright lower portion of the right visual field. Now switch eyes. Find your gaze pointing straight ahead. Allow your awareness to float or swim through the visual field without looking anything in particular, and allow it to go to the left peripheral. Find the furthest point in the left peripheral that you can see, and allow all your awareness to pool on the left-hand side of your peripheral vision. Now, keeping your vision to the front, keeping your gaze to the front, allow your awareness to swim to the right. See everything at the furthest right point of the left peripheral vision. Allow your awareness to swim upward. Keeping the gaze to the front. And allow your awareness to swim downward. Find the lowest point in the peripheral vision of the left eye. Now open both eyes. Allow your awareness to fill the furthest right part of your vision. The furthest left part of your vision. The highest point. The lowest point. Now, as with the 5 points meditation in body scanning, keep the gaze to the front without looking at anything in particular. That's point number 1. Stretch your awareness over to the right without losing the center of the visual field to include the right-hand visual field. Stretch it to the left to include the furthest point to the left. So now we have the center, the left, and the right as 3 points. Hold those. Allow your awareness now to include the uppermost point. Hold those 4 points. And allow the awareness to include the lowermost point and hold those 5 points. If that is already very, very difficult, scale it back to what you can do. If that's going okay, then just try to relax the mind, let go of those points, but keep the vision completely open and just rest in the natural condition of vision with the entire visual field open. One more time, bring the awareness to the center, to the furthest right point, furthest left point, uppermost point, lowermost point. Open the vision. Try to bring more of your being, more of your awareness into the vision, letting go of other types of awareness. Fully absorbed in the visual consciousness. Keep the vision completely open and with full awareness, full force of mind in the visual power. Relax ever so slightly so that you're not holding any particular points. You're just fully cognizant of vision in general. Okay. Next session is 10 a.m. London time. 30-minute break. I will see you then.